My people, where you at? Where you at? Wake up from your slumber, stop sleeping. Whip your hands, whip your hands, whip your hands, whip your hands. Come on, come on, come on. I know you're sleeping now. You gotta whip us more, yeah? Okay, let's go. People fool us, the people lie to us, the government betray us. They can lie, they can steal, they will not go. I said we tired with their lies, we tired with their promises that led us to all our damages. We tired with that speech they preach indeed, and now unique they deceive us. The thing we saw, it frustrates us. So why did you lie? Why did you steal? Why did you allow the citizens to beat? You see, we just tell you that why we voted you. But you fool us, you screw us, you use us and later on abuse us. So why? The government should lie. Why? But that's the question that we ask. The people fool us, the people lie to us, the government betray us. They can lie, they can steal, they will not corrupt. No one to trust. My people, no one to hope on. Nobody. My hope that I have been broken. I'm telling you, brother. So where are the schools? Where are the roads? Where are the jobs that they say they could afford? But they're too selfish. The people tired with their rhetoric. People tired, they tired. You see the reason why we ask why the government betray. They have enough of time, but then instead they delay. People suffer. No work for people crying for hunger. Look at. Your vision and your mission, your intention to the nation is poor. You got nothing to show. Nothing. So why? The government should lie. Why? But that's the question that we ask. They lie. The people fool us. The people lie to us. The government betray us. They betray us so much. I said they lie. The people fool us, the people lie to us, the government betray us. They can lie, they can steal, they will not corrupt. We tired with their promises that led us to all our damages. We tired with that speech they preach indeed, and now unique they deceive us. The thing we saw, it frustrates us. So why did you lie? Why did you steal? Why did you allow the citizens to beat? You see, we just tell you that why we voted you. But you fool us, you screw us, you use us and later on abuse us. So why? The government should lie. Why? But that's the question that we ask. The people fool us, the people lie to us, the government betray us. They betray us so much. I said they lie.
Good afternoon, folks. Good afternoon. It's wonderful to be here for another edition of Reimagine, Restart, Rebuild Liberia. Today, we'll not be able to have our venerable George family with us. He has to handle some other business. So we have to touch on multiple issues. And since this is an interactive thing, again, I want to say thank you to all of you who are listening. Hey, today, I will invite any taker who wants to come on to discuss the issues. If you feel confident that you can come on and discuss the issues, say in there, let me send you the link and you can come and be a part of this program today. Because this is a people's program and this is one where we interact with you all the time. We get your input to ensure that we're not biased. We take the negative, we take the criticisms, we take everything. By the end of the day, we bring it to you. We bring the real deal and we embrace you coming with your opinion, your ideas, your opposing thoughts to anything we want to share. So that's what it is. So for today, I will be a person in the studio here going over multiple issues. And there's some hot button issues directly related to this whole development of Liberia that we keep talking about. And right now is the rice issue. So people may have different thoughts on the rice issue. But from the lenses that I look at the rice issue right now, I think it's about incompetence and it's about greed. Because we got two different stories coming out on this lack of rice. We have the government position, and they sent a whole 2-page memo out. We'll try to read it and share it. I just have to look for it and find it. And then we have what supposedly the importers are saying. Now, how we balance that and how we get to the bottom of it, that's where we see either laziness or lack of concern from the people who are responsible for these things. Hey, what's up? Tualu, how are you? Tualu, what are you doing? If you're not, how should I say, eating chicken or toting boxes or cleaning somebody, you can come on the show because of the accusation that the 3 primary things people in the diaspora do, I guess. So you can holler me if you want to come on and let me know because George is not here today. But anyway, so we have the government saying X. We have the make me lie, say pushing gato. We have the importers saying other things. We have the people on the streets, giving their own impression about what it is. So we have to balance this and really, really look at what's happening. So I'm going to try to find the government press release from the Ministry of Commerce. I had it up for a little while on my phone. But most times, oh, I see it. Okay. But why I gotta find why I can't just open it? All right, I guess I gotta scroll up to open it. I can open it and read it on my phone, but I want you to kind of read along with me. So that's what I'm facing here. Maybe I should just email it to myself and be able to drop it down quickly from my email. Then what's that? Because look at it, the last few days, WhatsApp been acting funny with us for some reason. I don't know why. So I will email it here to myself. And then we can really talk about it because, I mean, this is an issue that we know brought war to this country. Even though there were a whole bunch of other things behind it, but the arrest riots really initiate the acceleration of some of the things we're experiencing today. And so that's like, if we just say 1980, that's like 40 years, 42 years. And we just can't seem to get a grasp of some of these things. That's why when we talk about systems, we talk about processes, sometimes people can think we bloviating or just talking for talking's sake, but no, that's not the case. These are things that we as a people really, really need. We need to do these things, set up systems, set up, processes that can endure, that can stand the test of time, that people are not reinventing every time there's an issue. Because when you set up systems and stuff, you build in situations where things may not work. What's your reaction? You do all this kind of scenario planning on how you are supposed to deal with the situations that are not working. And it just seems like we're not built for that. We don't do it enough. And that needs to change. That really, really needs to change. So let's look at the rice memo from our folks in Liberia. The Ministry of Okay. And so some of this stuff has to be fact checked. We can't just assume we know everything coming from the government. And we can assume that everything they're saying is factual. So that's why we need to fact check anything they bring to us. So let me go to the now the people now change their stuff to but how my people change on me? So they change the language here from sharing, they say present. And now they ask for present screen. Before they had like Windows. Now they say present screen. So we'll present this screen and share it so you can see what the government is saying. The government of Liberia says, the government of Liberia over the last 5 years has worked with rice importers to keep the price of rice affordable for the Liberian people. Over a year ago, importers requested the government to abandon this policy and add $2 to the price since they were selling at a loss. So we understand nobody wants to be in business at a loss, but it is incumbent upon the government to understand the entire pricing structure of rice along the way. And I hope they have. I don't know, because from all evidence, it doesn't seem like they have really gone in depth into the pricing of rice and how they can really support and help the process. They say, however, government chose to remain committed to its regulated price of rice. And subsequently, in September of 2021, the government of Liberia began a program to partially subsidize the high costs associated with the importation of rice due to increase in freight and other global supply chain issues. Okay, that's understandable. Over the last 2 fiscal years, the government set the input subsidy at US dollars 5.5 million in the special 2021 budget, right? And US 11 million in the current 2022 budget, respectively. So that 2 budget years we're looking at. the one where they switch the budget without special budget and shift the budget framework into an annual year basis, and then the budget for this year, the full, fiscal year 2022, January to December 2022. So that's a sum of 16.5 million. And they said to date, they have given inputters 14 of that 16.5. So according to the government, they're only outstanding about 2.5 million. Unfortunately, most of the importers have not come out to definitively say what they got from government. There's been whispers that they got 3 million or they got 4 million. So we need to know exactly what it is that the importers have received and what government is claiming they have given them this 40 million. But all in all, this is not really sustainable, for government to be doing this. But we'll come to that later. Government continues, although there has been delays in the incoming consignments due to the vessel restrictions resulting from the safe notice issued by the National Port Authority on the 10th of August, 2022. So was there no anticipation that a safe notice was going to be put in place? Or no understanding of the dynamics, what the reserves of rice were, and all of that? But they're claiming that sufficient rice has been supplied to retailers to serve the general public. Yet, we are experiencing some kind of deficit in the market. So now, as usual with this government, they will always reflect on some kind of comparative. They say, high regional pricing of rice above the price in Liberia has placed significant pressure on the buffer stock in Liberia. Hence, this price discrepancy has given retailers the incentive to hold rice in order to sell across the border for the sake of profiteering. So we got to try to visualize how many people taking this commodity across the border and how are they taking it? What is our immigration restriction on that? So are we saying government cannot control our borders effectively to monitor what comes in and what's going? We only have limited border points. There are other crossing points, but the volume of rice needed to affect the market are that if they're going through the crossing points. So if the differential in rice price across the border is actually what's affecting everything, then we should be able to handle it because we should have the control. So the government continues, we want to assure the public that the current stock of rice in the country can serve the market up to the arrival of the next vessel, which is expected in the coming days. Some people have said, the vessel has arrived. And really, nobody wants an uprising due to rice in this country. No. We really want government to be able to handle this thing. Rice should be, the availability of food should be something that's just so automatic that is not even a thought. But after the rest riots, 42 years later, for us to still be, talking about it, as, a problem, it's just emblematic of how governments along the way since then has failed. Or yeah, we can take out the 14-year war, the 3 years of trying to get together, that's 17 years. That's still 23 years after that we have not really put ourselves together to get this stuff right. Okay? So assuring the public and not even showing them what our current stock is, what the quantity is, where it's located, that it can, support the market until the arrival of the next set of vessel makes no sense. Okay? So yes, we ourselves, everybody should call on the public to remain calm. We don't want riot, we don't want anything negative to happen, right? And panic buying, no, it's so difficult for people not to assume, especially people who have access to be able to buy something. They say, as a result, we call on the public to remain calm and refrain from panic buying and retailers to desist from holding of the commodity. That's all well and good. You know, we hope that's what they can do, but is that the reality? Will somebody look at it and say, and who can buy 10 bags of rice and say I will only buy one, not knowing when they're gonna buy the next set? No, I personally don't think so. You know, so the government says beginning mid-October to early November of this year, subsequent supplies of rice totaling over 150,000 metric tons. Okay, so that's you got like 1,000 kilograms making 1 metric ton. So that's 1,000 times this. So that 150 million kilograms we're talking about. And when you divide 150 million kilograms by the bags of rice, and you know that 25 kilograms for one bag. So that's 6 million bags of rice we're talking about. So they say 6 million bags of rice will be in the country, which will supply the market up to early part of next year. So is that what we eat? If we look at 5 million people with 6 million bags of rice for what time period? To the early part of next year for nearly a 3-month period. So each individual supposedly now we just say, okay, 6 million, 1.5 bag, 1.2 bags of rice for each person for 3 months. Maybe it could work, because even children are eating rice. So basically the whole population eating rice. It's not like, some of our people have the funding or the income to buy this rice. So this rice is still not everybody eating this rice. There are many people eating country rice, and some people now, because of health reasons and the fact that our brown rice is very nutritious, have converted. But a significant portion of our population are still eating this rice. And they say that 6 million bag of rice is in addition to the current 22,000 metric ton being expected in the coming days. Okay. So, but what is the long-term plan? If you get this now, what happens next? So the government said, we therefore encourage businesses to continue to carry out unrestricted sale of rice, void of price hiking and profiteering at the expense of the ordinary people. Government is trying to shift the blame to the business people, but it's not working for a lot of people. Instead of the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, or inspectors of the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, along with national security apparatus, will not hesitate to take actions where necessary against anyone caught in violating while closely monitoring activities in the market. The government of Liberia remains committed to its pro-poor agenda by ensuring rice and other essential commodities, they say remains, but it should be remain, available and affordable. So that's what the government is saying. And, you want to believe the government, you want to say, yes, it can happen. But what is really happening? What is the key issue that government needs to be resolved? And I'm talking about short term and long term. Maybe if you listen to people, guys, crazy. If you listen to what the government is saying, you want to believe them. You want to hope that rice is here. Okay. We have a couple of comments from people. And it'll be interesting to see what they are saying. So, people have different thoughts about this food business, and I hope, as a people, we are able to really develop something that can make a difference for us. Food security is very critical. And there are strategies out there that can get us to food security. And people can propound the ideas. That's what this is about. How can we really come together as a people? How can we strategize to be able to get to this point where, we are on a trajectory, on a path to food security for our country? I see one or two comments which I mean not necessarily disagree with, but we share them. We share them so people can understand the perspectives out there, what people are thinking when it comes to food security. But the lack of confirmation from the government for people to feel comfortable that yes, we really believe when the government say the supplies are on the way, there are supplies on the way imminently, and they will be in the market very soon. When they say, we'll be inputting 6 million bags in, by mid-October, towards the end of October, we can have that confidence. But unfortunately, the government is not credible. So most people don't believe those kind of statements coming from government. And again, if they don't play out, that will even increase the panic. So I just really, really hope that government is confident that what they're promising the people is what will happen. Because if that doesn't happen, it just increases the panic. It increases the anxiety that people may have, and people will act. The market will act accordingly. So, what can you do with hungry people? Hungry people are angry people. I don't care where you are. Hungry people are angry people. So we got a comment here. Let's hear what this individual is saying. That's Macy Ekondayo Dixon. This is the same miscommunication that progressives used to make a statement that President Toba had raised the rice price, which he did not. It was a proposal to raise the price by the agriculture minister at the time to allow the nation to be less dependent on imported or foreign rice. Liberians still have an issue learning from history. Liberia has to grow its staple food to allow 3 times its population to be. I don't know what to be what. He finishes a year. Liberia has to grow 3 times its population size in order to be food independent and food sufficient. Well, Moisey, I don't know how you came up with your metric, but when you say this is the same miscommunication that progressive use, who's using miscommunication? I'm not sure who's the originator of this miscommunication that you are talking about. So if you can just post there who's miscommunicating with the people so we can understand what you mean, that would be helpful. We can always discuss how you came up with your metric, that we need to grow 3 times our population size to be food independent and sufficient. And I don't know about food independence that we'll be making everything we eat. No, but in terms of the staple food, there are ways around it. Everything is not necessarily you have to produce it yourself, but there has to be some kind of balance, and that balance is something we have not, achieved, and we have not come up with. So if you want to, you can always come on and make your case, because like we said, this is part of the environment I want to cultivate, where we can have different points of views and be able to come to the table and discuss those point of views in a rational way. So at this point, a lot of people are not believing what government is saying about this rice situation. Hopefully the importers can come out and really express themselves and give their position, because I believe there is an importers association, even though there are only 4 or 5 of them, and some of them have been kind of dormant, even though they have the permit or the agreement to be able to import rice. So we got like 3 main or 3 primary people that have been importing rice over the recent short term. But the rice situation is critical. There's a lot of greed in there. We have heard all these comments over time about who gets what from the rice sector and how the pricing structure is. It would be wonderful for the importers and the government to be very transparent and say, this is what we are buying the rice for. This is the market price out there. And for the volume we buy in there, especially if we can build relationships directly with people who are producing the rice, those prices should be lower. Prices have been bounced out here. Yeah, they can be lower. They can be negotiated better for the benefit of the people. Or right now, I don't think there's any duty on rice. So rice comes in, it's just the port charges that they have to pay, not the duty. So it should be clear what the landing cost is, what the additional costs are, what the markup from marketeers are, and stuff like that. Because I mean, if the market was really open and competitive, there could be other people bringing in rice that could be cheaper, and they could help to drive down the price. But again, it's about greed. It's about greed and some selfish interest that drives this process. So hopefully we'll be able to continue to discuss this rice issue until government can have a clear solution that meet the people needs. Yes, for me, definitely, I support a more expansive agricultural process, a more participatory in terms of government, probably other partners, and our farmers working together to solve this rice problem. Based on what we import, we should be easily able to calculate how much rice we need, what our reserves should be. At the same time, based on the land formation that we have, the lowland versus the highland, the composition of the soil, we can be able to determine where we can grow rice, how much rice we can grow. So it's very important that these solutions are discussed. There are many experts we have in the agriculture sector, but we have not been able to move that expertise into practical reality and benefits for our people. And why is that? Is it we have too many talkers and few doers? Or whatever allocation they have, because there's significant dollars for agriculture around the world. And there's significant dollars available for agriculture in Liberia, but those have not translated into really moving rice in the right direction. So our man, somebody who's really into the numbers. So I don't know whether he's talking about my messenger inbox or my WhatsApp inbox, but he said he's done the calculation. It'll be interesting to see where Dwalu oh, okay, he did send something. So yeah, I mean, even though just from the surface looking at it, that I got a couple of questions about Dwalu, but it'll be good to share with you what he's claiming, and we can vet it yet, but we can also vet it later. And that's the idea. Different people bring different information to the table, different expertise to the table that we, generally we have to respect, we have to appreciate. Though we can differ, though we can argue on them, but it's always good to appreciate the input of others. So let me see if I can download what Dwalu sent us. And then okay, so it's right here. I want to see if I can zoom in a little bit. Can we zoom? Oops. Okay, so I'll try to walk you through the numbers. It development I had about mental. So present. Let me see what we did the other day. Slides. Just did it a second ago. Okay, present the screen and then a window. And yeah, Dwalu window. Okay, so this is Dwalu breakdown of the rice consumption. So he starts with a population, 5 million people. And what he's saying is each individual eats approximately 133 kilograms. That's 5.32 bags of rice. So what he's saying is, and back in the day, I believe they used to say a 50-pound rice, I think there were 100 cups in it. So what Dwalo is saying, so that's 5.32 bags of rice, which is, if you took that 133 kilograms, 2.2 is 294 pounds. So that 294 pounds of rice. So if we say that 365 days in a year, okay, and trust me, I know some people can bust serious quantities of rice. I mean, I usually eat nearly 2-3 cups of rice a day. So some people that the ability to consume is not easy. So if we divide our 294 pounds by 365 days a year, you're eating 0.8 pound of rice a day. Less than 1 pound, 0.8 a day. So let's assume the consumption is correct, right? So if we multiply that by the population, the daily consumption is 72,877 bags of rice on a day. So the annual is 26,600,000 bags of rice. Now, he assuming the price is $15 per bag of rice. So when he multiply by the daily consumption, which is 15 times 72,877, he gets, let me just make sure the calculation here is correct, which is 72,877 times 15, right? 1.1 million, 1,093,151. Okay, so that puts the daily consumption per capita that we talked about before, that 72,877 to 0.0146 kilogram in terms of converting it. So his thing is this daily cost doesn't align with what they say in terms of total dollar importation, right? Because if you say the daily cost in rice is 1 million, then you got 365 days in a year, 365 million. So we got to be importing more than 200 million, or we got to be having some significant local production, to subsidize that 165 million that we're talking about. And it's possible. Not everybody eating pusawa. And then maybe like he's suggesting here, he says 200 million importation amount does not align with the total daily cost stated. Rice is procured in other ways to include a cross-border trade that can be entirely described as importation. Also, there is domestic production on a small scale. Although rice is the staple of the country, other foods are consumed at varying degrees. Yeah, I mean, and we can, you see, and that's the thing about keeping data, right? If we really had data in our country to the point where we can actually quantify our consumption, our production, and the importation, this picture will be so much clearer for most people to understand. Oh, Piedmont, I'm sorry you didn't see the notes. I didn't zoom. So, at the end of the day, Dwalu, again, thank you for that daily consumption estimate and, extrapolating to annual consumption, total population consumption, and making a comparison between that and what the actual cost of consumption is versus what's being imported. So you see, if we understood what our local rice production is, how much country rice we're doing, how much rice coming into the country from over the border, is it easier for somebody in Nima to the border town to buy a bag of rice from, the people across the border, Ivory Coast or Guinea, rather than, bringing the rice in? Same for the people in Maryland, in Nigeria, other areas. So what quantity of rice is really consumed in Liberia, produced in Liberia versus what's brought from outside? So those are the kind of questions that could be answered if we're capturing data and being able to really be transparent around these critical national issues that it doesn't take one or two persons to really solve. We need people around the table, knowledgeable people who understand and know, for them to help us to come to serious solution on these things. And that's what one of the hindrances of this government. They have not been able to accommodate the presence of other people around the table, other experts, other knowledgeable Liberians to have input into some of these processes. So that's what makes it a little difficult for some people to understand when these kind of errors, these kind of mistakes are going on, because they could have been avoided. There's so many people out there who have given suggestions, recommendations to this government, and they just like either reject it, from the base, or probably string them around. So let's see one or two of the comments from people. Nominee Walker say, it's the level of ignorance at all levels of our society that humiliates me. Jesus Christ, you're humiliating me. It's a nation of Mumu. Why is it that not a national security concern for us? How do we define this independence thing? How? And that's some of the things, when people say we're independent. What does independence mean? How do we really strive for independence? I mean, our international decision making is not independent. Even right now, today, in Liberia, the presence of the different embassies there, the EU, the US, the statements, how much we hang on to what the US ambassador says, but basically like a feudal lord over the country. And that because of our dependency, we have not risen to the point where we can have some level of real freedom in our decision making. And look at the embarrassing sermon that George Weah gave from his church the other day, trying to target Louis Brown. It's very embarrassing, It's so just, I can't understand how our people clap for stupidity all the time, because his utterances were just so out of line, so unprecedented. You can't come to your people in a press conference environment where you speak to them. You go on a pulpit, right, and ridicule God and be talking about funny stuff, directing attacks at people, in a way that you're not supposed to, at president, sending to some people quoted messages. That's not how the country should be run. This is a secular nation. We're going to be using the pulpit to try to, work on the minds of our people, to try to disparage other people, where you can't get any rebuttal, and you're not even stating the facts. It was not under this government that our vote was taken. The vote was taken before this government came into power. Okay, and just personalizing the whole situation. That's not how government is run. Our president needs to elevate his level of thinking when it comes to governance, and need to put himself together when it comes to these presentations. He needs to meet the press. He needs to meet some of these individuals around the table and have some discussions outside of what he thinks. So we got another question here. What allowance did he make for event occasions when rice is cooked? Well, consumption includes all of those, I believe, So, Vincent, when people have party, or people, they still got to buy the bag of rice or have the party. So that's part of the purchase. And again, because we don't have hard numbers on the actuals, you have to give the man the benefit of the doubt for the calculation he did. And he can always estimate 2%, 3%, 4% for special events. It's possible. But until we can really start to collect data, start to be more transparent about the processes, start being able to accept that we can be questioned. Nobody is perfect. Nobody knows it all. That's why you got to be able to be receptive and responsive to criticisms, to questions, and understand what you're doing, so that you can be able to respond to those. And sometimes there are multiple ways to do things, multiple ways to find solutions. Nobody has it perfect. No, Dominic, stop making me laugh, man. But I will still share your comment here. We are a pity. If I'm LB, I will ignore him. Like a farmer selling his unhappy goat on market day. No, the guy, they're picking crazy. You know, that's the thing. There's nothing wrong with these like Fiano brothers or whoever the other key importers of rice are. I know my man Henry was able to put a little article out on the rice situation. You know, the Fuani brothers, the Futa people, K&K, UCI, SWAP. I believe those are the 5 top importers, but supposedly some of them are not as active as they are today. Some are inactive. So mainly 3 or 4 of them are the main people, you know, producing rice today. Yeah, I mean, you know, the idea is we have the ability. That's the thing. Look, we have the land to grow rice to feed even most of Africa if we need to, right? We are not densely populated. There are significant areas where we can plant rice. And today you can grow parboiled rice. We know you can grow parboiled rice in Liberia, basically any part. You can grow in the swampy area, you can grow in the high ground. But you can grow the rice in Liberia. So it's not that we don't have the ability to do it. But how do we do it? That's the question that probably evades a lot of people. But it has to come with empowerment of the people. The farmers have to be invested. We have to ensure that coming out of this, the farmers make the money, that they are able to actually profit from farming. Farming in anywhere in the world basically is subsidized. That's why government needs a stronger foothold in this sector, in this agriculture sector, because that's the lowest hanging fruit we have to empower our people, to make sure that whether it's rice, whether it's all the other vegetable crops, whether it's some of the tree crops like cocoa or coffee, you know, all of those things, our people can profit from farming. There are markets out there that need our products. It's about that, building that whole value chain and supply chain infrastructure that people can understand, people can relate to, and it can be, and definitely have the market or the off-takers out there to be able to do those things. So, you know, it's important. It's important that government looks at this with, you know, a closer look, thinking to the future and be able to find solutions. And the solutions are there. They're not new. We are not the first people that looking at this stuff or having these problems. Anything, like George Family says, anything that needs to happen in Liberia has happened somewhere else before, and solutions have been found. That's why, you know, we need a leader who can do this thing. And that's the other point I'm about to go to, because I've been talking to some people recently. Majority of the people I talk to, they agree that Mr. Cummings is the best option. Now, let's not get it twisted. Mr. Cummings is not the best. There are other Liberians out there, okay, who can govern this country more effectively than Mr. Cummings. There are. But they have not been positioned as he has been. So when people say Mr. Cummings is the best option, they're looking at the framework of contenders right now, those in the pipeline, okay? The current president, the former vice president, Mr. Cummings, Gonglo, maybe Cassette will have been in the discussion. He had not been involved in his criminal activities. So really, if we look at the potential candidates, we're looking at 4 people, 1 distant in terms of Gonglo, because he just like starting, and then 3 main ones. So if you look at that combination, and in the minds of many people believe that Mr. Cummings is the one, why do people try to find excuses rather than say, okay, if I believe this is the guy, I believe Liberia is at a critical juncture, I believe that the continuation of a George Weah government is not going to shift the paradigm, it's not going to be able to move our people to better education, better healthcare, a more vibrant economy, all of those things, right? Then that means I don't have confidence that re-electing George Weah drives the country in the right direction. If I look at Vice President Boyka, what is he bringing to the table? Liberia right now needs a real manager, somebody who has multiple skills, multiple abilities to understand the issues and to manage the issues. Needs somebody who can hold his, surrogates, his appointees, and even their own subordinates accountable. Somebody who can drill down the numbers, the scenarios, and be able to understand them and be able to make key decisions, tough decisions, prioritize. We can't do everything at the same time. No, money not coming from any tree. Money is not coming from trees. We have to create the opportunity that puts turn around in our economy in a vibrant way and develop things where we have money to spend, where we can target specific projects that will have high yield. We need people who can make those decisions to do that. We need somebody who's energetic. Look, people think being president is a joke. That's not a joke. That's serious work. You can have some of the best people. You still got to read some stuff. You still got to put in time. You still got to put in work. We know for sure, man, that he will not put in work. He will not read those documents. He will not even read the briefings, the summary of those things. He's not doing it. Does Boyka have the the stamina, the endurance to put in that kind of time? I don't believe so. And at the end of the day, you can have some of the best assistants. You yourself as a leader have to be vested in the process. You have to be occurrent of what's going on. You have to delve yourself into the issues and be involved. So for those who are out there who believe Mr. Cummings is the right, come and work with Mr. Cummings to get him elected for us to make this change. Everybody will not work with government. But the private sector opportunities in Liberia, they are huge. There are many. It's just that right now, like somebody was mentioning about kickbacks, right now the people are only focusing on what they can extract. If you have a government that sets the tune, that will not come in to extort our investors, whether Liberian, whether foreign, no. We are coming to accept them, to make sure they are doing business the right way, to make sure they benefit our people. So until we can have that kind of mindset and come and join the group and help and work and make a difference, okay, we can't sit on the sideline. It's not time for any Liberian who cares for the country to sit on the sideline and just talk. No, get involved. Yeah, some people are scared. I can understand some people may be hesitant to be critical of this government because their bread and butter depends on it, and that's fine. That's how it is. Everybody cannot be in the front. We understand. But put some effort into it. There are people in your cycle you can convince. There are people you engage with that you can talk to. Not everything has to be in the public space. And through that, you build a groundswell. You build a gradual movement that people start to understand and relate to the best possibility and the best option that we have to move our country forward. So for all those people on the fence, or all those people who believe that Mr. Cummings is the one, the best option, but still have a but behind it, try to think again. Work on that mindset and see how you can move forward. So today we'll just close shortly, but let's talk a little. Let's see some of these things, because I think I disagree with the other man. All our problems lie with the House of Representatives. Not all of our problems, no. They play a significant part, but all the problems don't lie with their nominee. Shut that stink building down. Send those jokers home. Hire a firm, pay them based off results that will develop and implement a sustainable development agenda. No, but even if you develop the agenda, you still need the people to implement the agenda. That's our biggest problem, the implementation, okay? And the honest implementation of the agenda. Our people don't seem to want to, do the right thing. People just want to see this as getting rich quick. That's not what government is for. It's not a get rich. You want to get rich quick, go do business or go do 419 business, let them catch you and jail you. But government is for you to serve the people, you know. And in the absence of that commitment and that wanting to serve, that's what brings the problem. Okay. Because I mean, lifestyle changes are just obvious, especially for many of us who like to show off and ball. By the time we start getting money from XYZ places, we show it. But God does not have the passion for anything related to the upliftment and advancement of people. He has never demonstrated that. That's one opinion, and some people share that. There was another comment here I saw. LRB people like you don't want to do rice business. All of you just want government job in big offices. So the foreigner profits and capitalize on it to make good money, such as the Fulanis, Lebanese, Indians. So I don't know where rice coming from that people don't want to do rice business, you know. But when people make the kind of comments and they don't even know what you're doing towards the sector, how you trying to help, how you trying to make a difference, you know, you can't argue with them because they just don't know, you know. But hopefully things will result because we really believe that is the way this government has to go. That is the way the country has to go. Agriculture is the low-hanging opportunity that can be leveraged to change the lives of the people. Majority of our people are quote-unquote farmers, subsistence farmers. They don't have the ability to move forward. If there's a commitment to moving this sector forward in partnership with the people have the land. Most of them have the land, even though government has the land, but the people have the land. And that partnership has to be with them, where the investors are coming in a targeted fashion. We understand our soil. We understand what can grow where. We know the markets out there that what's needed. Okay, we know what we need locally in terms of our domestic or consumption. Pepper, bitter ball, all of those things can be grown at commercial scale in Liberia. Okay, there are markets out there for them too. The word today is understanding and discovering ethnic food and the migration from Africa to one of the major things that's an advantage for Africa is that when their children leave Africa, they still want the African food. That's why agriculture in Africa can be great because the export of ethnic food is consistently increasing. And as more Africans interact with other people and they taste the African food, their tongue start to like it. They start to like the jollof rice. They start to like the palm butter. They start to like the potato greens. Okay. So the opportunity for ethnic food, for our food to be exported is great. Okay. Just how people want people from here who go back over there, they still want hamburger, they still want the better sausages and all those kind of things, you know, and people making money from taking those things back to Liberia to sell into other parts of Africa. Yeah, we can do the same thing with our African food. So trade will always exist, and we have a huge opportunity to maximize our own, gross domestic product, our own individual income, the personal income for individual, and in totality, our gross national income. We have that ability. We can do it, but it would take us committed to doing it, clearly setting progressive targets on how we do it. In year one, we have domestic production of pepper, of rice, of this at these levels. We'll be able to measure those things. Year two, we increase our production capacity. Year three, like that. And if we progress like that, we should be able to do it. Look, we 5 million people, we're not that many. We are able to do it. Yes, of what I killing it. So folks, we as Liberians, we have to be committed to something. We have to work towards ensuring our shared vision can be implemented. And if it's about better Liberia, right now in the critical stage we're in, I personally, and that's my belief, I won't tell anybody, vote for Mr. Cummings. All I would say for those who believe in Mr. Cummings, who want to, see Liberia move in a different direction and believe he is that messenger, that vehicle, that leader that can help us move in that direction, then find a way that you can contribute, to the process. And there are multiple ways, whether you're in the diaspora, whether you're on the ground, there are multiple ways to contribute There are multiple ways to participate. And we just hope more people can really, really be committed to doing that, because if we do that, then we have a fairly good chance of changing the the direction of our country. Yeah, rehabilitation, Moisi. Look, that's all. Most of those young people over there in agriculture can be rehabilitative in itself. Okay, so we can use agriculture. We have a model out there for the rehabilitation process and putting people into viable use through agriculture. It's possible, it's doable. It's about investing in them, and believing that these young people can, do what needs to be done. They themselves, many are committed to trying to change their lives, but it also takes the effort of shutting down this drug trade. What happened? $100 million worth of cocaine, I believe, and it was burned recently. I think they burned it yesterday or this morning. I saw the notice. I don't remember exactly when. So, until we are able to do these things, we're not moving far. So hopefully more Liberians can get involved. More Liberians can be committed to the change that we talk about. Change, change, change. Change is not easy. It's one of the hardest things. Because a lot of time what you're trying to change to, majority of the people don't even know where that is. So they reject change. It's like, what other food man told me you come in out where we can do it yet? I beg you, yeah. You know how we can do things. So until you can be able to demonstrate what that change is and convince people that that change is in the right direction for themselves and for their generation, must leave me, man. I brought about this cannabis business here. I even brought about hemp. Utilizing hemp is one of the most versatile industrial products you can find. Even our own cassava. Mostly there's just so many things, but it takes investment, and that investment has to be the right kind of investment that will drive those different sectors or those different products to the market. And our government has not been able to connect those kind of investors with our markets and the market out there to be able to really build, a value chain of, needed products out there in the Western world, even in other parts of Africa, and us producing and making it happen. Hey, Moise, it'll be great if you do. Seriously, we need more people like you, thinking like you, and who want to act. So we'll keep doing it. We'll keep trying. We'll keep pushing. But hey, we have a huge opportunity here to change the direction of this country and to shift the paradigm. And hopefully, people who can help make that happen will wake up and want to be a part of the process. So I want to thank everybody, for today. The hour went by fast, but tomorrow is my wife's birthday, so I gotta come go now. Go look for a nice card. Go look for a nice little gift for her, for her to deal with somebody like me for now. I don't know how many years, we've been on this thing, but it's been a wonderful journey with my wife, hopefully she will continue to tolerate me and let me be me while we stay married. And that's one of the major things I really appreciate about her. She understands my passion for Liberia and all the things I would do just so, Liberia can be in a better place. And we'll keep working. Hopefully we'll be on the ground soon to support this campaign effort to make the case to our people for Mr. Cummings. It's not far. Very soon we'll be there. But thank you for listening. I always appreciate you. Peace. No, even when the Sagamore tree were there out there, I was now a big time Sagamorian. Okay, I will tell the queen, but tomorrow morning, I gotta give her a birthday shout out. That's my sweetheart. All right, later, folks.